just tuning in, we are up to chapter 15. We ran through chapter 1 through 15. This is the Kim Porter book that is causing all the drama right now. I'll be sure saying it's an unauthorized edit. The kids are saying their mom didn't put out a book. We know these were notes, files, different things put together. One of the authors, Todd Christopher, says he's a Hollywood investigator for Hollywood big profile crimes. He worked on the OJ case, also is working on a book about Heath Ledger. He sounds pretty convinced that he is not doing anything wrong by putting out this book. Hopefully it will bring more to the light. Hopefully there is way more to this. And in the beginning it says, we will hear more about this on television as this unfolds. So, where are we up to? Chapter 15. So now she's with Kimora, right? The last part that we left off, chapter 14, was the club incident when J-Lo comes in and she's basically saying, like, you really think Shine is going to take the rap for it. So this chapter 15, Kimora Simmons and I went out for drinks. She was looking at me seductively and I was turned on. We were going to go back to my place, but suddenly after I had one sip of my drink, I felt sick. I excused myself and barely made it to the ladies' room. When I came back, Kimora said, "Are you okay? I've been under the weather a couple of days." She said, "Your breasts are looking plump, girl." I whispered, "Not in public." She replied, "Are you pregnant?" I was completely taken aback. Why would she say that? And then she asked, "So what are you going to do?" I didn't understand. What are you going to do? If it's not Sean's, damn, but what if it is? Because remember, they're into group stuff, all types of wild-ish. Who's to say that it was his at that time? You know what I mean? She looked at me flatly and said, "Ain't nobody stupid, girl." Because she said, "Good luck. After what he did to Chris, I wouldn't want to be in your shoes." That's when she said, "Ain't nobody stupid, girl." So it's like everybody around her knew what he was capable of and what she was doing. And it's like still she was in denial. I knew. Did Puffy intentionally kill Chris? She brought me back to the moment by saying, "Go." Not knowing what else to say, I told her I'll hit her up. So chapter 16 is called Christian. The next day I was sitting on my couch deep in thought when the doorbell rang. I went to let Sean in. This was going to be scary. We made our way back to the living room and sat down because Quincy was asleep. Sean, legitimately concerned, asked, "What is so urgent?" So I just blurted it out. "I'm pregnant." The air in the room was thick as J-Lo. He was quiet. What is she thinking? He asked me the obvious question, "Are you sure?" I spoke. What is he thinking? He asked the obvious question, "Are you sure?" She said, I'll get rid of it. I'm sorry. I just wanted you to know." And he said, "No, that's wonderful. This is great." I was so confused. "You're not mad?" So he was excited. He jumped on the phone and started to call Will Smith. While he was on the phone, she could hear him congratulating him. And Sean said, "Yeah, definitely." So he said, "Kim." And then she replied, "We got to have a party." So she's like, "Yeah, gender reveal and a baby shower." And he cut her off and said, "Of course, but everyone's going to want to sleep with you right before you give birth." This is more of the ritualistic and all of the cults and stuff I was telling you about. Her being pregnant, to them, they want a piece of that towards the end. I don't know if it's something to do with the baby's soul, if it's just, like I said, a lot of the parts that people are missing and not paying attention to is that these people feed off of energies through these parties. So as soon as he hears the news and he calls said Will Smith's first thing is like, "Oh, so we're all going to get a piece of that." Like now she's like the Mother Mary that we're all going to like get to join around. Gross. Everybody's going to want what? Sean went on with excitement. Well, not everybody, but you know, Will, Jada, blank. "Sean, I'm having your baby." He verbally waved me off. "It's fine." I couldn't help myself. I just started crying. He spoke low and he hung up and took me by the hand. "I've never asked anything of you." I tried to see him through the tears streaming down my face, but I couldn't believe the words coming out of his mouth. "Sean," he cut me off, "I provide everything anyone could ever want. Do you want for anything?" "No, but," he continued, "this is the kind of thing I have to do in order to keep giving you this comfortable lifestyle. Where you live in a lap of luxury and get to be on TV shows and in movies. I know you don't want to do this, but would you like all of this to go away?" A whimper is all I could say. "But Sean, I don't believe in all this spiritual shit. We got here because you're brilliant, not because of those parties." He replied, "Do you trust me?" I did, but my soul was broken," I responded. He sighed. then let's do what we need to do to keep what we have. So it's almost like that was the most vulnerable and real he's ever been, was, yo, whatever he's wrapped into, he has to do this in order to keep his fame or for people to believe they could harvest this energy with him. He ordered some food, but I cried myself to sleep knowing I would be G-banged at 9 months pregnant. I want my children out of this life. My child's going to have a good dad, a good biblical name, a heavy Christian name. They won't take his soul. So she named him Christian. And now if you remember, she had Quincy, then she had Christian. Then before the twins, Misa had Justin. So he had a baby on her. She gets pregnant with the twins. Then somebody else had, what's her name? Chastity, the other daughter. Then, and you know, now we have a new baby going around. Chapter 17. I don't know how this managed to stay out the media for long, but Sean got to the point where he was incredibly abusive, and only his inner circle knew about it. The artists were all afraid to say anything, and he gained so much power. Puff Daddy was a kingpin. This Monday afternoon, Quincy was in school, and our son Christian was with the nanny, and I still had to make a living. I still loved the camera, and had just been cast for a new movie. Sean was coming over to celebrate with me, just the two of us. When he came in, he yelled, "What the F?" I would have to walk on eggshells when I came out the bathroom, but I found him holding flowers. So I smiled. "You brought me flowers?" "No." "So who the F are these from?" I was bewildered and told him, "I don't know." He threw the attached card at me. I picked it up. "Sean, he slapped me so hard I hit the ground." "Who the F were you with the other night?" I looked at the card that was laying, and it said, "The other night was amazing. We must do it again." I tried to explain. He threw the flowers at me. "That's not how this works. You have my child. You don't touch anyone unless I allow it." It was just coffee with the producer. It was nothing. He glared at me. "Who the F is this producer?" And I was trying desperately to calm down, and I responded, "From the movie." He picked up my coffee, slammed the mug against the wall, and everything. Coffee flew everywhere. Who the F he thinks he is? He's just some producer. We talked about the role and maybe starring in a movie, and he wants to produce. That's it. He flipped the table over and broke it, and it was a heavy table. "Sean, please," he yelled at me. I tried my best to calm down. He probably didn't know. "You're publicly dating someone else," so he screamed at me. It seemed more intense. "So you didn't tell him back off?" I didn't. And then out of nowhere, he hit me with a chair. I don't remember anything until I woke up in the hospital. My arm was in a cast hanging from a sling. My face hurt. My eyebrow was in pain. And my lip. As I came to, I saw my face. As I came to, the first face I saw was the man that put me there. He asked how I was feeling, and I told him, "Stay away from me." I don't know what came over me. Save it for the lawyer. Stay away from me. We were in a private hospital room, and no one could hear me. I could scream, but if I did for assistance, I wouldn't get any. He said, "I was just so jealous. You know how I am." He took my arm that was not slung and said, "Your beautiful son, you have our beautiful son, our family. It's just that the one you, at that point I had enough. The one you slutted out right before giving birth. Are you shitting me? Stay away from me. Don't come near me or my kids." He continued, "I'm sorry. I promise I'll never put your hands on me again. I've heard this song too many times, and I spoke through my gritted teeth. If you come near me or my kids again, I'm calling the cops." A flash of anger returned. "You would use my kid to threaten me?" And then he caught himself. "I understand you're angry." I glared at him as I cut him off. "I'm serious, Sean." He spoke with no energy. "And tell them that you had a car accident. They'll pity you, that you hit your head." He was gonna make me look crazy. They were gonna believe him. He was a kingpin. You're a bastard. Sean spent the next 6 months helping me heal and working my way back into life and into my bed. I was so damn stupid, and of course, I wasn't cast for either movies. And from what I understand, that producer died of pneumonia. All right, we got like 4 more pages. Sean kept his word for the most part until he didn't, and I ended up pregnant again. He wanted energy from that too. That wouldn't be my last S party. My body will never be ravaged by so many people again, especially while pregnant. What if something happened to the twins? Oh, okay. So here she was pregnant with the twins. But when I tried dating someone else, they would end up dead from pneumonia. So aside from the producer, then she dated someone else, which you could also check out on Tisa. Tisa did some background check on the boyfriend, and he died of pneumonia too. I knew Sean was behind it. There's not a coincidence. He gets jealous of a guy, and they die of pneumonia. I could be next. If I'm going to get out of this alive, I'm going to have to do something to make him stay away from me. I have a plan, but it's dangerous. The vault where he keeps the videotapes of all his conquests, I started sleeping with it again so that when he falls asleep, I would go into the vault, get a couple of tapes, take them home, make copies, and then swap them out for the next couple ones. Some of the tapes had things I would never expect. Gay parties are one thing, but the young boys like Usher, Bow Wow, and Bieber, I would have never known. Is he grooming my son too? This has to end. I invited him over one day to confront him. This is where she messed up. And put an end to our on and off again relationship. He had entered my home unannounced for the last time. He would no longer have the key after today. I was in the kitchen. Kimora and I were having drinks, and I was scared to face him alone. So as soon as he came in, like, "What's up, Kimmy? Hey, Morva." I told Sean, "Sit down." Because of his tone, he looked stunned. "What's going on? What is this?" I responded with life, me taking my life back. "We're done." He said, "Wait a minute." I shouted, "No, this is over." He looked confused. "Where is this coming from?" I got the footage. He looked even more confused. "What are you talking about?" Sean stood aggressively and Kimora responded, "Don't make me call the cops." Sean's anger was creeping and he said, "This is how it is. If anything happens to either of us, this will get released. After all I've done for you, I don't think I was ever so happy when I said those words to him. Get out." As he walked down the stairs, he turned around and lunged at me. He knocked me down the top of the stairs. I was hurt and Kimora screamed. As he began to crouch over me, I kicked him, hitting him in the kneecap and his face, and he went tumbling down the stairs. He was too hurt to get up. I called the cops and Kimora left before they arrived. When he left, it was in an ambulance. I felt empowered. I felt safe. The Sean Combs days came to an end. And then this is the last 2 pages. So this last page, I feel, sums it all up, but there is a part that's a little dramatic that I don't know whether to believe. Things were okay for a while. I started dating again. It was normal until I got serious with someone. Then my boyfriend died of pneumonia. I knew it was Sean. That's like, how traumatizing to know the producer you were going to work for, then someone you dated, another boyfriend. Like, every time you date someone, they're going to die of pneumonia. When my boyfriend died of pneumonia, I knew it was Sean. That's when I decided to write this book. A few days ago, my home was burglarized. Only the laptops were stolen. I know it was him. Of course, I had a copy in the cloud that I was able to easily download here onto this new computer. As I continue to write, I'll send this into the cloud as well. I'll send out copies via email, and Google Drive password will be attached so the missing chapters can be accessed. This book must get out. There are so many more chapters to add. This outline is a great start. This is what makes me think this is just the outline. I planned on spending today working on exactly that, but I'm not feeling well. Thank God the kids aren't here this weekend so I could rest. When I spoke to her, she said, "Girl, that doesn't sound like the flu." That immediately started to alarm me. I needed rest. But why can't I get to my doctor? So people always talk about how she noticed she couldn't get in touch with her doctor. She couldn't reach her doctor. Any of her providers were through him. So she felt like he was stopping her from getting medical help. That man I now suspect has done this to me, and he's with my babies. So she calls him, and he's with the kids, so he's acting calm. She said, I screamed at him, "You bastard, I have your children." "What are you talking about? The kids are with me." There's literally nothing I could do. I could only ask, did you ever love me? Instead of answering the question, he responded, "The most important thing to me in this world is loyalty." I couldn't believe it. I had to even ask if I understood right. What does that mean? So he mocked her. "Kim, is something wrong?" So he picked up, like, this could be a movie. He picked up, like, basically, I know you're sick, because whatever pneumonia stuff he would give other people, he gave to her. And she realized at that moment, and he told her, like, "You were about to snitch on me." He's going to continue this game to the bitter end. And I asked one more time, how could you? How could I what? Give you everything? You went to someone else. You left me just like everyone else did. So you're saying everyone leaves because of how I am, and you're going to expose me? He had me burglarized, and I knew it. I shouldn't have threatened him. I should have just published the book. I'm going to die like Heavy D, who is also putting out a book, Biggie, Pac, and so many others because he's a monster. Before hanging up, I said, "That's not the only copy, you fuck." Then I shot out a group text. I let everyone know he got me. Then I called 911. This is the part I find weird. As I sit here waiting for the ambulance, I'm writing this chapter, praying I make it to the hospital. I don't feel like writing anymore. I may not be around to see a print. I'm sending it out. He won't get away with this. I will have my say, my final words. Sean Combs will get exposed, even if I lose my life doing it. My kids have always been my most cherished possessions, and I want them to know that. But most importantly, I want them to know this. So I feel like not just this, because there's definitely going to be more coming out to this book. So many questions, thoughts, and concerns. So much of this stuff you could look up. It's public knowledge. What's crazy is when you try to look something up on YouTube, it'll say like videos within the last couple of months. But you got to remember, this stuff is from like 15, 20 years ago. The archives are out there. You can find these interviews. You could find about the incident with Tupac. You could find out Kadada. You could find about the incident with Kadada. You could find out all of these things. So I just think it's interesting. Again, pay attention to the wording when people say that this book isn't real. It's just about who leaked it, how was it leaked, and was it a friend or was it the feds that wanted a piece of the money? I don't think she cares about the money and it coming back.